Okay, good morning. This week, if you look over the left-hand side, today I'm going to teach you unconscious choking, adult, child, and infant, all one clip. We'll take the notes in the packet. I'll do a demo of adult and child for you, which is one and the same. And we'll start testing out of it today. It'll roll into tomorrow. And to be honest with you, that's going to be it for the mannequins. We'll be done with them. Okay? We're on page 63 in your notes. That's the next 2 days. Along with that, tomorrow I'll be introducing your third project, which is your heart disease project. You'll randomly choose a heart disease to research and present. Now, I haven't decided as of yet if you're going to present it on the Prometheum with a partner, or if we're going to do a poster where you'll have a QR code and you'll link to that, and we'll go ahead and look at it ourselves. Haven't decided. I'm kind of leaning towards you guys doing the presentations on Friday. But let me just kind of, over the next 24 hours, I'll make that decision. Yes, ma'am?
I'm not going to be here on Friday.
I'm sorry to hear that.
All right, I'm just letting you know.
Okay, it's all right. Well,
I know who not to have a partner with.
you'll have to have a lot of responsibility then in terms of, doing your work with your partner. We probably won't get through all the presentations Friday. We'll probably roll a few over to Monday, but we'll do the best we can. I just haven't decided yet because I kind of like doing the gallery walk thing. It gives you more flexibility.
No, but like usually some people don't even do it.
I agree with you, Lorenzo, and that's kind of like why I want to do the presentations too. So I'm going to try and make a decision. This class, I pretty much can count on you doing whatever I ask you to do. You guys do a great job for me. But that's this week. That's how this week's going to play out. Again, the tests we do today, hands-on, and tomorrow, that's it for mannequins. So unless a mannequin is going to be included in something you do with your final project, your first aid fair project, you won't use them again for me. Okay? Red group, you have current event this week. It will be the last current event of the quarter with the last group. So everybody after this week will have turned in 2 for the first quarter. We'll skip next week and we'll start again the following week. Okay, and that week is the 7th and 8th of November. We're actually off that Monday and Tuesday, but I'll give out the current event forms and you can start thinking about that in advance. But you'll have 2 due for next quarter and then you're done with me. Okay? Any questions, comments, concern? So Wednesday and Thursday this week, we're in the media center. That's why I'm setting everything up tomorrow with you guys. All right? Anything from you guys? I think everybody in this class is all caught up on hands-on testing too, which is huge kudos to you guys. So today, unconscious choking adult and child, page 63 in your packet. First and foremost, right out of the gates, the first question on your note packet says, initially give how many rescue breaths to an unconscious choking person. It doesn't matter if it's a child, adult, infant, it doesn't matter. You give 2 rescue breaths, and then you give 2 more. So initially you're going to give 4 breaths. And let me explain to you why. Let me explain to you why. Because when somebody's choking, those breaths aren't going to get down into their airway, get down into their lungs, and make them expand. And we have to be prepared to think that maybe we didn't tilt the head back far enough. So we readjust the head after the first 2 breaths and give 2 more breaths. So that answers question number 1. Now, keep in mind our objective today is to learn how to identify choking emergency, demonstrate skill of unconscious choking adult, child, and infant care with modified CPR. So that kicks off modified CPR. Modified CPR is rescue breaths, chest compressions, checking the mouth. A conscious person who's choking may become unconscious. You have to handle it very, very carefully. So the first thing you need to do if they go unconscious on you, or if they have a completely blocked airway when you start helping them, please send somebody to call 911. Please, please, please. Because you're going to run into the same situation as if they had cardiac arrest. Okay? If you're alone, you have to follow the call first, care first steps. Whereas if it's a child, you give 2 minutes of care first, then call. All right, so here we go. If the conscious choking adult or child becomes unconscious, you want to carefully lower them to the floor. Remember when I showed you how to give the back blows and abdomen thrusts, and we already assessed out of it, and I said how important it is? Put that foot between their feet. Get a hand around them. If they go unconscious, or you can tell they're going unconscious, by having your foot splitting their feet, by having a hand around them, you could throw your other arm around them and carefully lower them to the ground. One of the things we don't want to do is be standing off to the side and let them bounce off the ground. Yes, sir?
Is this what we're supposed to be talking about?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nope.
Save them all.
What'd you say?
Said I saved them all.
Right. I'll get to it. You'll go back to it. Once you lower them to the ground, 911 should have been called. That's when you open the mouth, look for the object.
Ew, it goes out the mouth.
Yeah, if they're choking to death, you want to see if something's in there. If you see the object, you need to get it out of there. This is where it becomes a little sketchy for you. If you don't have gloves, do you want to stick your finger in somebody's mouth?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a cut.
You know, I mean, that's just it.
You don't know what they do with their mouth. That's nasty.
Well, it depends how you look at it from that perspective. In an emergency situation, you're not going to be thinking, oh, I don't know what they do with their mouth. I don't think I'll help save their life. You may not look at it from that perspective. If you don't see an object, you open the person's airway, attempt 2 rescue breaths, and that's why I said, that's why I made it a point to start things off teaching you today by telling you, give 2 rescue breaths, they don't go in, you give 2 more. You give 2 more. If the chest doesn't rise and fall, it's a concern. If the chest rises and falls, then what am I going to do?
Modify it.
I don't need to modify it because the chest rose and fell.
Signs of life. Stop.
The air is
Stop it.
bleeding
It's
to the
Look for signs of life. Exactly, Logan. I have to look, listen, and feel now. If I have no signs of life, then what?
CPR.
Regular CPR. Okay? Regular CPR. If there are signs of life, then I just monitor them. Correct? All right. So here we go. The steps for modified CPR for an unconscious choking person. Would you rather I wrote them up there for you to make it easier? You actually have it on your rubric too, so you can look at your rubric. Let me follow through with
It
the
says
rubric.
do not stop CPR unless one of these things are true.
No. So what were you doing?
Okay, so step 1 is
It's on the board.
2 rescue breaths.
Let's check them out.
Okay? Retilt head. 2 rescue breaths.
Wait, on the rubric it says to check the mouth?
Right,
Uh,
right. When the second set of 2 rescue breaths don't go in, you want to give 30 compressions. I'm here. I'm here. Don't go there, go here. Okay? So you're right, check the mouth, and then 2 rescue breaths, retilt the head, 2 rescue breaths, 30 compressions. Check the mouth again. This is what makes it different from regular CPR. After we do a cycle with the compressions, we check the mouth. You got that, Dara?
Huh?
You getting this? Okay, I need you to get this, please. If you find nothing, 2 more rescue breaths, 30 compressions. You those one and the same. Okay? Check the mouth again. When you find something in the mouth, if it is an adult, if it is a child, you use your pointer finger and you make a scooping motion. And you'll see it, and you'll see it in the video. The reason we make a scooping motion is because it won't push the food back down in the mouth. If we stick our fingers in there and try and pluck it out, there's a chance that when we're reaching down in there, we can push it down in further. So you make a scooping motion. With a child and adult, again, it's with your pointer finger. With an infant, it's with your pinky.
It's like a come here motion.
Okay? It's with your pinky. Once you clear the mouth, you give 2 rescue breaths with the assumption that they go in, you look, you listen, and you feel for 10 seconds.
This is a lot of work. To save one person.
So is working at Chick-fil-A.
I know. seriously.
Anything worth doing, having, being successful at, takes hard work. You're saving a life here. This is something that you feasibly will do. You may not use CPR. You may not use an AED, but you may save somebody from choking, most likely in your lifetime.
Have you saved someone?
Yeah, my son. My son.
What the grade?
My cousin, she choked on a cough on the cough drop. She started purple and stuff.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, I was there.
That's really scary.
Yeah, right after my mom go in and not shove the whole thing in my mouth.
Can
So I
you
shoved
go
the
up
whole thing in
drinking
my
water?
mouth.
You know, there's been other times where, you know, I've just given somebody a couple back blows and they've stopped choking.
And she starts throwing shit out of that.
They gotta be really hard.
Aren't you
It was
not supposed to
partially-
put your
partially
finger
to, like,
inside their
therapy,
mouth?
but then it was partially safe.
What'd you say, Dara?
Like with an infant, when my mom told me my cousin was, she made me throw up. And I was like,
That's what you have to do. That's what you want to do. You want them to get, by throwing up, that means the airway is cleared now.
Yeah, but she eventually swallowed it.
You're supposed to hang them
So
upside
she
down and
was
shake
like,
them, bro.
she was like purple, and then she just kind of just, I don't know, she swallowed the cough drop, or maybe it just
Oh.
dissolved. I really don't
I mean,
know.
they-
Well, it probably, you know what? It probably melted away.
Yeah, but it takes
If you,
some time.
if you think about when we go, if you go back to the other day when we talked about things that you should not give babies or small children, that's one of the things. Any type of hard candy, like cough drops, like those little mints you get when you leave the restaurant, the red and white mints,
Oh, man.
you know, you really shouldn't give those to small children. You just shouldn't. Jolly Ranchers. Everybody likes Jolly Ranchers, but really small children, especially because Jolly Ranchers are really sticky too.
Everyone said me, I don't want them.
They're sticky. You don't like them? Only person I know in the world. Congratulations.
Remember that?
Always gotta be somebody.
Remember he choked on the fork by the truck?
All right.
No, man, just don't like them. Just don't like them. Alright, just don't like them.
Okay, here we go. The video.
Ew, I'm not going to
To care for an unconscious adult or child who is choking, use a modified CPR technique. If the chest does not clearly rise with rescue breaths, the airway could be blocked. Re-tilt the head and give another rescue breath. If the chest still does not clearly rise, assume the airway is blocked by a foreign object. Remove the CPR breathing barrier and give 30 chest compressions. Open a person's mouth. If you see an object, remove it with your finger. If you have removed an object or you can't see one, give 2 rescue breaths.
He's not even going to be doesn't even want one to
Aren't you just like pushing the object more down?
No, you're opening the airway up and loosening it up.
Repeat this cycle of giving 30 compressions, looking for an object, and giving 2 rescue breaths until the
Notice the
chest
finger?
clearly rises with the rescue breaths.
Look, notice the finger?
He doesn't put him in there.
He's not even.
Looking for an object and giving
Okay. You see the thumb right here and the way his fingers are here? He still has the head tilted back. And what his thumb would be doing if this were a real person, not a mannequin, his thumb would be holding the tongue down. Other than the tongue rolling back into the mouth and you not being able to see it, You know, it needs to be held down. So that's what that thumb naturally would be doing there. And like I said, there's your finger and he swoops it out. Scoops it
2
out.
rescue breaths until the chest clearly rises with the rescue breaths. If the breaths make the chest clearly rise, remove the CPR breathing barrier and check for breathing for no more than 10 seconds.
7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10.
Here's what the sequence looks like for a child.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll cover a nose on adult child.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. One 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000.
How do you make a room look like that?
If I was choking and I woke up to somebody doing that to me, I would
Okay.
just stare at them like.
You won't stop modified CPR, and this is the last question on page 63. You will not stop modified CPR unless one of these 5 things occurs. You can get the object out and give breaths that show that the chest can rise and fall. Person can breathe. EMT arrives. Too tired. Or it's an unsafe scene.
What if they're having a seizure?
A seizure?
Yeah, like remember
You
when I
have to
told
get
you what
away
happened
from
at my
him.
job?
Put like a blanket
He
under
was
his head.
choking and he was having a seizure and he hit his head.
You can't really do much about that. You want to protect the head, but if he's choking and having a seizure at the same time, you cannot give care. You have to let the seizure run its course and then start caring for him. You can try and get something down underneath his head, like a blanket or a pillow or a jacket or something like that, so his head's not bouncing off the floor, you know what I mean? But you can't interrupt the course of a seizure.
What would happen?
His body is abnormally strong because it's been taken over by whatever made it seize up. So he's just going through the whole process, and when it stops, then you evaluate him and see what you need to do.
What is a seizure then? Like what is like what is a seizure?
A seizure can be, your body's just reacting to something, and it's having a, it's almost, how do I explain this? Let's say it like this. Let me see if this makes any sense to you. Where you have control of your body right now using your mind, your body controls your mind, and it just kind of clenches up, and it goes through a process of just reacting to something. The muscles start reacting to something and shaking usually. You know, it can be anything from, you know, a flickering light. Like there are people who can't, you know how some school buses have that light on the top of them that, like kind of like a strobe light? There's some people who can't be anywhere near that while that's going on.
But don't you take medicine for that?
Yeah, yeah. My buddy had seizures. He was driving in his car in college. He was going 15 miles an hour through the middle of the town, Morgantown actually, in West Virginia. And the person in front of him, he wasn't paying attention. He started adjusting the radio. The person in front of him hit the brakes real quick. So he hits the brakes real quick when he lifts his head up, but he hits his head off the windshield, and whatever he did, it kind of messed up his mind to the degree that he started having seizures. But he had seizures, or he has seizures such that he can feel them coming on. I was with him, my nephew and I were with him one time. We're going to a concert, we're driving to this concert, and he's telling us a story. And I'm driving, and my nephew's sitting in the back seat, and he's kind of turned around talking to my nephew with his hands like extended, you know, going through motions as he's telling the story. And he clenches up and he starts spasming. And I looked at my nephew and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? You know, the kid's name is Jimmy Joe. I'm like, what the heck just happened to Jimmy Joe? So I pull my car over,
Joe.
I go running out of the driver's seat, and I open the door up, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, he had never done this before when I was with him. And all of a sudden, he had his head back after he had his seizure, and he opens his eyes, and he's like, so anyway, what happens is, and he starts continuing with this story.
I would start busting out laughing, like,
It was really,
That's scary.
you know, it was really weird. He did this one time. We were at, with a bunch of people. We were at a place over the holidays, and this place was packed. And he knew a seizure was coming on, so he was kind of leaning against the bar, and he said, "Hey, move the stool. Something's going down." You know, he told people around him, "See, I feel myself. You know, something's going on." And didn't know what would cause this, but he told people to move the stuff out of the way, and all of a sudden he starts shaking and he fell on the floor, and like this place is packed. There was nowhere to move, but everybody knew him. We were all friends. We had grown up together, so. And he just ran his course, and when it was done running its course, he kind of sat up and looked around, and another minute later, he kind of got himself up and started leaning right where he was.
Do you just leave them there?
Yeah, you have to let him go.
Do you have to take him to the hospital after he has a seizure?
No, because he had already known what was going to happen. He had pre-existing condition that he knew he could feel something coming on that he couldn't control. He wasn't supposed to drive or anything, but he was still driving the car even with this pre-existing condition. That's terrible. So, okay. All right. So we got through all of adult and we got through all child, and I'm going to demo that for you. But I want to go over the few things that you need to know about baby. That way, all we have to worry about is the next class period and a half is getting testing out. All right, so with a baby, a couple of differences, and you can write this down already. The notes for it are on page 64. Okay, with a baby, you can always keep its head back, just like you do with regular CPR. With the baby, one of the first differences you got to understand is when you go to make the scooping motion out of the mouth, and they even have it in this picture right here, you use your pinky finger to scoop out of the mouth. The other difference is when you're given the compressions, obviously, 2 to 3 fingers. 2 to 3 fingers to give those compressions. Okay. So let's take a look at baby.
Yeah.
To care for an unconscious infant who is choking, use a modified CPR technique. If the chest does not clearly rise with rescue breaths, the airway could be blocked. Retilt the head and give another rescue breath. If the chest still does not clearly rise, assume the airway is blocked by a foreign object. Remove the CPR breathing barrier and give 30 chest compressions.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Open the infant's mouth. If you see an object, remove it with your little finger. If you have removed an object or can't see one, give 2 rescue breaths.
Your little finger.
Repeat this cycle of giving 30 compressions, looking for an object, and giving 2 rescue breaths until the chest clearly rises with the rescue breaths.
Not much different than what you'll see with an adult, like I said. The
If
only
the
real
breaths go
difference is
in,
the
remove the
finger.
CPR breathing barrier and check for breathing for no more than 10 seconds.
1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000.
The finger when scooping the mouth and the 2 to 3 fingers on the chest. But essentially, you know, we're looking at the same virtual procedure. Okay? Any questions about that? Anything from you guys? All right, so we're going to move into actually testing out of adult and child.